What's up, fantasy managers? If you're anything like me, you watch the NFL draft for potential rookies who can become fantasy stars. And 2023 had many boom or bust rookie players. We're going over the rookies who smashed or crashed your season, and we'll predict how they'll do in 2024. I know you're interested, so stick around for 7 seconds. You can do it!
What's up, Zoners? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Jason, the lucky bastard Ethan Wolk, coming at you live from the West Coast. And this is the Fantasy Red Zone. We've got a beer time breakdown with 2 people. We got 2 people here, man. It was just me filling the microphone for 2 weeks. I know you guys hated it. You guys weren't like, Jason. All the comments were like, we need Jason. We need Jason. Tyler, who the is this guy? Tyler sucks. We hate hearing his voice. His voice sucks. Jason, would you want you've been spreading your DNA all over the place. Would you mind telling the public what happened, where you've been, and then after that, tell them how they can help this show? Because, hey, more than ever, we got another goddamn mouth to feed, Jason. We need it.
I've been dropping loads all over this place. And my wife wanted me to use the intro of Jason, the new daddy Euphenwalt.
Oh!
I may be a bastard, a lucky bastard, but my son is pure and innocent until he's 13. If you guys made this far, if you guys please hit the subscribe, press the like. We like the likes. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this rookie segment we're going to do later on. If you have any rookies on your team, let us know. We're also on the radio, on Spotify, the Fantasy Red Zone. Check it out.
All right, Jason, thank you for that. Hey, we're drinking tonight. That just goes to show, drink all you want. You can still have kids. All right. Jason,
drink all you want. That's how you have kids, is drinking.
That's half the fucking battle, man. All right. Anyways, we got news. It's been a while, man, since we had some news in Brews. I was last time I was drinking, I was just giving out fucking running back stats, Jason. So this is new. Did you see, Jason, that what's his name, man? Oh my god, dude. Not Mason Crosby. He's a Crosby. Max Crosby was saying he's not going to play, dude. He's like, I'm not going to play for this guy. I'm not going to play for this team unless Antonio Pierce is the coach. Apparently, Jason, Antonio Pierce is finalizing his deal to become the coach of the Oakland Raiders. I think that is a great move. They lost out on the Bisaccia dude last year, or a couple of years. Actually, that was like 2 years ago now, man, with that Mike McDaniels. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's going to be good. I think someone to target now for sure is going to be Josh Jacobs, because Antonio Pierce likes to run the ball.
I was going to say that, dude.
He's going to be the quarterback, though.
That if they don't get a quarterback in, Devontae Adams is going to fall. And him as a wide receiver too, or maybe a flex, I do not mind. Oh, that's tough though, man, because Aiden O'Connell, like, hyper targeted to him, but still his floor, I said this, Devontae Adams' floor with O'Connell was 1 point. 1 point. So, but yeah, I think you pointed out the best thing, Jason, was Josh Jacobs next season is going to be rising in our ranks. And then Jason, next up, I was talking about how this was the real tight end one of the season. Mark Andrews, you combine his points with Isaiah Likely's points, tight end one. Holy shit. Dude, he is still not activated, Jason, and apparently he is not going to be playing this week. Significant ankle injury. So hopefully they can roll through the Texans. I think this is some serious shit. I would not be surprised if the Ravens come out and play super tight, man. Like, Lamar Jackson has so much pressure. He's had so much, he's not done well in the postseason, and now he's had that amazing season. It's almost like the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry. I sneezed, Jason. They say that's the second best feeling to coming.
God bless you. No. I do love the feeling, though. Oh, man.
Woo!
When it burns the chest.
I didn't say it.
So good, it gives you heartburn.
I need to smoke something. All right, Jason. It's good to have 2 people here. Otherwise, I would have heard nothing. It took me a second, but Jason responded. Jason, how do you feel about what I say, Mark Andrews next season?
Next season, yeah, he was my guy this year.
And dude, you drafted him, and he was killing it, man.
He does get the touchdowns, yeah, he was definitely a red zone threat level red. He didn't get as many receptions as I like, but he was getting the touchdown, so that's good, and hopefully he can continue on next year. I do think I would probably get him before Kelsey now.
What do you think the odds of the Texans pulling off the upset against the Baltimore Ravens are now?
Oh my gosh, look what they did to the Browns, man. Browns got one of the best defenses in the league, and with CJ Stroud, anything's possible.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it might be a closer game. I would take I would bet on I think the spread is 9 points. I would bet on the Texans to cover that. Moving forward, though, Jason is a Cowboys fan, so this question is for him. Mike McCarthy's back. How do you feel about Mike McCarthy being back? Did you want him fired?
I'm angry. Yeah, I want him gone.
Dude, you should have heard his speech.
I did not expect for him. Yeah, well, I did not expect him to come back. I'm very surprised Jerry Jones had him come back, especially with all the coaches out there that are a free agent. But McCarthy, another year. He was definitely outcoached in that playoff game. Definitely outcoached. But I mean, that's great for Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb when it comes to fantasy football.
Yeah, Jason, would you rather have Bill Belichick or Mike McCarthy as your head coach?
Billy. Give me Billy.
Yeah, his defense would have been insane on that team. Okay, here we go, Jason. Kyren Williams had surgery on his hand. He is going to be out for a couple weeks. I know he's not playing anymore, but still. Kyren Williams next year, he was, when I looked at the fantasy points per game PPR, he was the number one fantasy running back in the second half of the season. Kyren Williams, Jason, are you going to draft? Do you think he deserves to be the number 2 running back off the board next season?
I do. He gets a lot of volume, and look what he did, even though he missed 4 games this season. And in the very first week, he did score like 20 points, but he still had to share that with like Cam Akers. And he still ended up as high as he did. Dude. If Matthew Stafford is there, yes, give me some Kyren Williams.
And Jason is a Kyren Williams owner. I keep on talking about this, Jason. I wanted to get Kyren Williams. I put a bid in for him, but you took him away from me. You took him away. I put too much on Puka. All right.
Well, you got the other guy.
What'd you say?
I was like, you got the other guy. You got Puka.
Yeah, I do know that, but at the same time, Kyren Williams, man, oh my God, dude, that guy was a fucking league winner. Okay, 66% chance of rain in San Francisco, Jason. I think that helps the Packers whenever there's bad weather. I live in Northern California, so we got boots on the goddamn ground, Jason. We got boots on the ground. All I've been hearing is we're supposed to be getting 2 inches of rain a day. I am like 2 hours north of San Francisco, but still. Jason, I don't know if you guys have crazy rain scheduled, but there's like a monsoon scheduled here. So I would not be surprised if this game has elements here. I think that is going to be helping the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Jones, and that defense.
Yeah, we'll see. I really can't. I don't see, oh my God, what's his name? Matt LaFleur outcoaching Kyle Shanahan in this one.
Disciple, yeah. All right, Jason. Godwin did not practice today, but is not on the injury report. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to defeat the Lions right now, they're going to need 2 of those wide receivers. Godwin has been battling injury for a long time. Like, who do you think is going to win in that game? It is in Detroit. Detroit just won that home game against, the Rams were like top 3 in the NFL right now. How do you feel about that game?
Sorry. Did you hear about when that reporter, I think he asked Todd Bowles, that's his name? Todd Bowles, right?
Yeah.
How does he think about the weather in Detroit? How's he going to play through it?
So, we play in a dome. You know that, right? I was like, dude, I've probably felt like that reported before. You know, it's like, all right, man. Like, I can't even think of an example, but I felt like an idiot tons of times.
You're right. Yeah, that's when you kind of just like hand over your access badge and leave. You just leave after
you do that. Homer Simpson fade into the.
I do think this is a. Yeah. I do think like Tampa Bay. This is as far as Tampa Bay is going to go. I don't think they can put up a good fight against the Lions, but the Lions will prevail and be the king, Lion King.
Will the Lions give up passing yards? All right, Jason. But yeah, the Lions, they can stop the run. So Rachaad White is going to have to get a lot of screens and shit. He's going to get a lot of passes, a lot of receptions. But, man, I don't know. I see this game as being like a 3-point game almost to me. Front seven for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is their strength, but they give up a ton of points back in. Same thing with the Lions. So it's almost like a mirror image with two, high-end first high draft pick quarterbacks that were given up for dead and all that shit. But got to give the Lions a home advantage. So, and then Jason.
Yeah. Hey, if Godwin doesn't play, look for Trey Palmer.
Let's say look for Russell Gage to take over the game. Russell Gage was injured in August. Anymore, right? that one cornerback was talking shit. Jason, he's like, yeah, when you got Russell Gage and all these other guys. All right. Anyways, I was trying to be funny. Yeah. It was not funny. All right. LaPorta, limited in practice, listed as questionable. LaPorta, didn't he play last? He played last game, caught that touchdown, correct?
Yep.
So I would expect him to play again. Did you draft it? Is he playing in your fantasy playoff challenge, Jason?
LaPorta?
Yeah.
No. I have Isaiah Likely.
Me too. I've got Kittle and Likely. All right, but I think LaPorta will probably catch a touchdown this game. Gabe Davis is out, Jason. So that sucks. I am hoping that I really want the Buffalo Bills to win this game against the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, me too, dude. Get the Chiefs out of there, man.
GTFO, you're the fucking Warriors, dude. Get out of here, dog. You think I want this shit?
Get out.
All right.
Get out.
Anyways, Watson, Jason. I can't remember who the Watson is. Limited in practice. Oh, Christian Watson. Limited in practice, but he's not on the injury report. If he plays, that is going to be huge. Where you can attack the 49ers is their secondary, man. So, holy shit. If they can just get 3 wide receivers out there, that will be huge.
Jayden Reed time.
And then, Jason, same game. Last of this Brews and news and Brews. CMC not on the injury report. Do you remember when he had a strained calf, Jason?
Yeah, it was straining. It was.
All right. So that is good news for CMC. I did put him on my he's my playoff challenge as well, Jason. I'm sure you have him.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, there we go. All right, man, let's get into the meat of this shit. I want to hand it over to Jason and I want you to tell the public why, why the rookies are so important and everything about all that shit.
All right, well, what I got here, rookies are one of the most entertaining aspects of fantasy football. It's like when we watch the NFL draft and we see an offensive rookie get drafted in like the top 2 or 3 rounds. It's like our brains like start to turn and we put in all these variables together and we try to figure out if the rookies drafted will have any fantasy value. But how much fantasy value and what round in the fantasy draft are they worth? Because in the end, college is different gameplay than NFL. So which rookies won or lost your league? And let's go ahead and just start this thing off, Tyler. With the first pick that happened in the 2023 draft was Bryce Young. His ADP was 203. He ended up as quarterback 23 on the season. He scored 166 points, averaged 10 points a game. He only missed 1 game this season. Going into this, we knew the struggles heading into the Panthers with a questionable offensive line. But at the end of the season, PFF had the Panthers line ranked 16th. Panthers did not have the best offensive line, the best wide receiver core. They lost their head coach. They gave up close to 4 sacks a game. That's not good. Young's average completion was under 5 yards, so he wasn't really throwing it deep. He was keeping it close to the line of scrimmage. And his completion percentage was 59%. That's horrible, which is a terrible stat line. And he also only had 11 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Young had 12 games that didn't even meet his projected points and only 4 games in double-digit points. This is a quarterback. He only had 4 games of double-digit points. My outlook in 2024 is not much will change with Bryce Young. I feel like he's probably going to be the same this year as he will be next year. Same next year as he is this year.
Damn, Jason, did you make a deal with the devil? You're like a smooth talker now, man. You deliver all this information like a silk smooth piece of silk.
Smooth as silk.
I'm telling you, man, that was amazing. All that shit you just said was great. I don't know if you said this, but man, he was drafted as quarterback 23 ahead of Stroud. You know what I'm saying? So we thought Bryce Young was going to be not great. I mean, that's if you look at 26, it's not even a flex. You know, it's like a QB3 in a 12-man league. But still, he ended up being quarterback 41 in the second half, Jason. And his points per game was fucking 4. So it was
awful.
Oh, dude, it was insane. But Ron Jaworski, remember Jaws? He was on Dan Patrick's show this morning.
Yeah, Jaws.
Yeah, I used to hate that fool, dude. I was like, man, this guy's so annoying when I was young on ESPN.
I still hate him.
I know, but he was talking about it. He's like, you cannot blame Bryce Young. You can't call him a bust right now until he has a team around him. He was running for his life every single play. I'm very interested to see who they're going to get. It's probably not if they get Ben Johnson. Holy shit, I will be interested. But other than that, man, yeah, next season, Bryce Young, I'm not really that interested in. And then,
right,
next
Panthers
up,
have a lot of things to fix,
dude. So much. I mean, their offense. It needs to start with their offensive line. I mean, at least CJ Stroud had Laramie Tunsil. You know, he's getting high at a goddamn hazmat mask, dude. So you know he's gonna stop everything. Do you remember that, Jason? Draft night?
No. What? Oh. Wait. Was he the guy smoking that bong?
Yeah. he had the gas mask on. He was just like fucking his draft. Yeah. He just went from the first round to the second round. It's like, motherfucker. I would be like, this guy's the number 1 pick.
Yeah. He's cool, man. I want to hang out with him.
He's cool, man. He's not all fuck. He's just like, yeah, I want to. He's not all out on the town. He's getting high and playing FIFA.
Yeah, yeah. Good time.
Like, hey, dude, that's exactly who I want on my number 1 pick, dude. All right, here we go, Jason. Speaking of which, CJ Stroud. Are you ready to talk about him? He was quarterback 26, drafted as behind CJ Stroud.
Behind Bryce Young?
Thank you, because as soon as I said it, I was like, man, I want to drink this beer so bad.
Yeah, he was his ADP was 227. He ended the year as quarterback 8. He had 218 points scored this season. He averaged 18.7 points per game. He only missed 2 games. I was bullish on Stroud, but I did not expect quarterback 8 level. In the beginning of the year, he was the garbage man. Most of his points came in garbage time. But then dang it, he threw me off. But then we really, okay, sorry, now I see this. But then we really started to see the Texans team kind of gel together. The emergence of Dell definitely helped. And Nico Collins was finally healthy and showed that he is a good wide receiver. Stroud averaged the most passing yards a game and had a ratio of 23 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And he was 4th in deep ball completion with 49%. And he was number 1 in air yards a game with 299. He only had 7 games under projected points and 6 games over 20 points this season. My 2024 outlook for him is that he will have another top 10 performance.
Yeah, Jason, the first rookie to throw for shit. You said something. I was like, oh, that to lead the league in passing yards. I think that's what it was per game. So that was like the first
passing yards a game.
Yeah, that's like the first time that's ever happened. Apparently, I thought Dan Marino did that, but apparently not. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. But Jason, Anthony CJ Stroud. I was like, I thought the first two quarterbacks weren't that great, to be honest. And where he went with the Miko Ryans, I was like, fuck this, dude. I was like, why do I want this, rookie quarterback with a defensive head coach? I thought it was not going to be great. I thought they'd just run the ball 50 times a game. I was wrong. Yeah, so drafted as quarterback 26, finished, dude, quarterback 6 over the last half of the season. So holy shit, Jason, he is a top 5 quarterback next season. I can't remember where I drafted him or where I ranked him, but dude, top 5 next season. All right, man. Next up,
he's got to be in the top 10.
Oh, hell yeah, man. All right, Jason. Anthony Richardson, AR-15. I drafted him in every single league I was in. That guy was, he would not finish a game, but still score 20-plus points. He will not finish a game. He will not finish a game, Jason. How do you feel about Anthony Richardson? Or what do you have to say about him?
Anthony Richardson, his ADP was 92. He only played in 4 games, but averaged 18 points a game. Richardson was the quarterback that held the most questions about his accuracy in 2023. In college, I believe his completion percentage was 52. Out of 4 games in 2023, his completion percentage was 59%. That's the same as Young, and like what I just said before, it's not great, but we don't care about that. We don't care about that. We care about his rushing and his rushing touchdowns. In 4 games, Richardson had 25 attempts, 136 yards, and 4 touchdowns with a 5.4 yards per carry. People forget Jalen Hurts, rookie season, had a 52% completion percentage. Who used to be the offensive coordinator for the Eagles?
Dude, Shane Steichen, I know.
And where does the head coach, and who's the head coach now for the Colts?
Dude, Shane Steichen is like my favorite coach.
Yeah, I believe Richardson's accuracy will improve. 3 out of the 4 games played, he scored 17 or more points, and he also had a 29-point game. My 2024 outlook that he is going to be a league winner.
Yeah. Jason, so I have him ranked as quarterback number 9 going into next season. That is 1 ahead of Stroud. So I have Stroud ranked number 10 going in next season. And then when you look at, that's a shitty thing is when I look at, he did not finish like every game. It was insane. So when you look at his points per game, he was only 14th. But you said how many games he had over 20 points? He only played like 5 games, dude. So that is insane. Every game he played, it was just like 20-plus points. Anthony Richardson with Shane Steichen. You saw what happened to Jalen Hurts without him. So, yeah, there you go. All right, Jason. This next guy is for you. You hear me? Mm-hmm. He's for you. Bijan Robinson, running back 3. He was drafted as running back 3. ADP. And, yeah, man, a little bit of a disappointment, Jason. I know he finished as running back 18 in the second half of the season.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson, his overall ADP was 8. He scored 246 points this season, and he averaged 14.5 points per game, which is the same amount of points scored as Derrick Henry. And he also played every game. One of the most frustrating players in 2023. I remember being excited to see the Falcons drafting Robinson, but due to his coach, Arthur Smith, it didn't pan out like fancy managers wanted, not utilizing Robinson correctly. It's just a strange year. He had that game where he rushed for only 3 times because of a headache or something, but it wasn't on the injury report. All I know is that it gave me a headache. Robinson showed that he can be a star in this league. I've seen it with my own eyes. His rushing yards over expected per attempt was 0.39, an average of 4.6 yards a carry. He had 8 total touchdowns, 4 rushing and 4 receiving, 58 receptions on 86 targets. So he is involved in the passing game. 9 games under his projected points. you could have waited a few picks and got Derrick Henry, who had the same amount of points. So it's crazy to see the difference in just like a few picks can make in a draft. 2024 outlook. A couple weeks ago, I would have said, forget about that dude. I wasted talent in the first 2 rounds, but Arthur Smith is gone now. So what's up, Atlanta?
Bill Belichick likes him some bell cow running backs, Jason.
Yeah. He's already interviewed with him too.
Times 2. 2 times 2. All right. Jason. Oh yeah, Robinson. I have him ranked, Jason, as running back number 7 going into next year. And he was running back 17 on a points per game basis. And that is through the totality of this season. And then what was it, dude? What was he on he was number 18. So yeah, his second half of the season was so bad. He counted on the first 3 games. Jason, I think that you were pretty happy with him in the first 3 games. But yeah, if you list out all the running backs that you would take over, it's insane. Even without Bill Belichick, he's still going to be a top 8 running back. I'm serious, man. No matter what you do, it's there's so much risk in all these other running backs. Bijan Robinson with his draft capital, capital, and stuff like that.
Capital.
It's dude, no matter what happens, and say Bill Belichick goes there, right now I still have Gibbs over Robinson, but that could, I don't know, man. I don't know how I could change that. I don't know what would make me change that. I don't know what would do it. All right, Jason. But yeah, so Robinson, huge disappointment, Jason. All right, here we go. Next up, I just talked about him. Jahmyr Gibbs. He was drafted as running back 12. So here we go, Jude. Bijan had that top tier draft capital. Oh my God, I keep on saying it. Capital. But he was drafted as running back 12. So he finished as running back 6, Jason. Jahmyr Gibbs. Quite the hit this season.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs' overall ADP was 34. He scored 246 points. That's 4 less points than Bijan Robinson. And he averaged 16 points a game, but he also missed 2 games. I think managers were excited about Jahmyr Gibbs because of the Lions coaching staff on draft day. He started off slow, but weeks 7, 8, 10, and 11, he had 27 points, 29, 26, and 21 points. There will be challenges because he shares carries with Montgomery. But in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, he scored 24 points in back-to-back weeks. His rushing yards over expected per attempt is 0.4. And weeks 3 through 16, his average yards per carry, Tyler, were between 4.5 and 9.1.
Oh,
8 games under projected points, but 4 of those came in the first week, or the first 4 weeks. When I said earlier, you start off slow, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. 2024 outlook. I can see more than 11 total touchdowns. That's what he had this year. I can see more of that next year, but I still see David Montgomery is still concern for me.
Jason, man, if I clip that and compared it to something you said a year and a half ago, holy shit, you'd be like, this is insane. All right, though, but
yeah,
good job,
not?
man.
Just playing. Why not?
Why not, dude?
Why not? Just playing.
Well, why not?
That's what I would have just said. Play Jahmyr Gibbs. Why not?
He's real fast. Did you know how fast this fool is?
He's fast.
He's fast. I looked around.
Zoom.
Did you guys see that? He's fast.
He gone.
All right. We've come a long way. Please like and subscribe. Here we go. Jason, next up, I do want to say that you cover so much, so I'm not going to say shit. JSN is next up. Still, we're in the first round. Wide receiver 38, he was drafted as, if somebody of his caliber was drafted to a different team, almost any other team, Jason, he would have been drafted way higher in our fantasy drafts. But he finished as, what was it? So, yeah, wide receiver 47, dude, in the second half of the season. He had a couple good games, but then he fell off huge, big time.
Yeah, his overall ADP was 103. He scored 149 points on the season. He scored 8 points a game was his average, and he played all 17 games. He started the season kind of slow. Week 7, was his first 10-plus point game and finished the season with 6 games over 10 points. His yards after catch expectation is 0.3, which is a positive trait to have. But like you said, Tyler, I think this is what fantasy managers expected from him in the 2023 season, and it's because of Lockett and Metcalf are on the field too. So it's like there's not enough ball to go around to everybody apparently. So 2024 outlook, I believe we'll see him start to kind of weed out Lockett if Lockett is still there.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You already saw Lockett getting phased out in the second half of the season anyways. Metcalf, man, they just I would still like Metcalf. Metcalf is fucking crazy to me. And then next up, Jason, here we go. A huge disappointment. He had his chance. The reason you drafted him maybe in fantasy drafts at wide receiver 48 is because you're like, oh my God, dude, if he gets a chance in this offense, Kellen Moore is gonna know how to use him. Guess what, Jason? Everybody got injured. He had his chance, and he could not take advantage. Josh Palmer actually ended up being the alpha here. So Quentin Johnston ended up as wide receiver 65 in the second half of the season on a points per game basis. That's pretty goddamn bad.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to say is basically kind of what you just said. His ADP was 186, and he only scored 94 points. He averaged 5 points a game, but he did play all 17 games. This guy had high expectations entering 2023 as a Charger, and Mike Williams got hurt, so Johnston had to step up. Since week 4, 9 games under projected points. His best weeks were 13, 14, and 15 with 10 receptions, over 160 yards, and 1 touchdown. But most of his games, you would forget that he was even there until you saw him drop a pass. In 2024 outlook, I'm a little worried for this guy, and I'm kind of also a little worried for the Chargers, like wide receiver core. We definitely need to see what the future holds for the Chargers draft, in this upcoming draft, and their coach, and let's see what happens with Mike Williams.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and see how Jim Harbaugh used his wide receivers when he was coach there. All I remember is Colin Kaepernick. I don't remember the wide receivers there and stuff like that. So
Crabtree.
Dude.
Michael Crabtree.
So like Debo would be Crabtree. We'll just have to see about this. Oh, no. Chargers. Yeah, I mean, Keenan Allen would be Crabtree. We'll have to see that. We'll have to see how this plays out. All right, Jason. Next up, we have got Zay Flowers. You're like, holy shit, he was a huge smash hit. He ended up being a borderline wide receiver 2 for you. He was drafted as wide receiver 36. So he was drafted ahead of Quentin Johnston and JSN, Jason. But let's see. Yeah, he finished as wide receiver 24, which is a quarterback, or which is a wide receiver 2. I think that's pretty goddamn good, dude. If you had Flowers, he kind of did over-expected, especially in the second half of the season.
Yeah, his ADP was 83. He scored 206 points. He averaged 12 points a game. He only missed 1 game on the season. This player made it seem easy in college, and he has continued to make it look easy in the NFL. He is such a great fit for the Ravens. When Zay was drafted, I made a bold prediction on the spot stating Zay Flowers will have more touchdowns than Odell Beckham. Well, Zay Flowers has 3 more touchdowns and 40 more receptions than Odell Beckham. Flowers has come into the Baltimore as a rookie and taken the wide receiver 1 role away. It's his. It belongs to him. My 2024 outlook, Flowers will continue to grow and be a top 20, top 15 wide receiver next season.
Yeah, I mean, oh, man, I should have pulled up my wide receiver rankings, but I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, I would totally have been in my top 20. You say that, and then you start listing wide receivers, and you're like, holy shit! It's a little bit deeper than I thought. Here we go, dude. Flowers. My wide receiver, I have him ranked right behind Metcalf. There's Rashee Rice, Olave, Metcalf, then Zay Flowers, Jason, coming at 21. I sent that to you. You kind of agreed. You said you agreed. But anyway,
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm saying he has the potential to do even better. Like with the second-year jump in that offense, Odell Beckham's just getting older. Like he could be 1 touchdown away from just adding points and
one bad thing
moving from the 21st to like 18.
Yeah, and one bad thing, Jason, is he's on the goddamn Baltimore Ravens, and their defense has been so good. It's like They need to be like in barn burners.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, and he's that type of player that busts shit open. And speaking of that type of player that busts shit open, Jason, Biletnikoff winner again that does well in fantasy. Jordan Addison, I thought I had him ranked over everybody pretty much, and I would have been wrong. But wide receiver 35 taken off the board, so he was taken ahead of Flowers, one ahead. He ended up as a wide receiver like 4, dude. So wide receiver 48 in points per game. What did you feel about? I think I like him only with. I think he's like a top 25 wide receiver with Kirk Cousins. But how do you feel about him next year? Or how do you feel about him?
Yeah, his ADP was 79. In PPR format, he scored 221 points, averaged 13 points a game. That's the highest scoring rookie wide receiver in 2023, and he played every game. He did get injured in a couple of games. I think we got like 0 points, but he did end up playing like every game. Addison came into the season hot. He had 16 points in week 1 and in week 2. He didn't have his first game under 10 points until week 11. At that time, the Vikings were switching quarterbacks, and it was kind of a mess. Week 15 against the Bengals, he scored 29 points and 15 points in week 18. Addison had 9 games under projected points, but only 2 of those projected points, he didn't reach projected points, came with Kirk Cousins. Tyler, like you said, good separation with 2 yards per average and a yards after catch of 1.4 above expectation. That is great. 2024 outlook, fantasy managers hope Cousins returns as he played best with him.
Last I heard, Jason, that Cousins is going to return. I hope to God he does, because, man, Vikings with Cousins
on a discount.
Seriously, are scary. So let's keep that shit rolling. Dalton Kincaid, Jason, is the last of our first round picks. Tight end 11, he was taking on the season, so people believed in him. And he was literally carrying my 10-man team for a month, maybe. But he finished the year. You know, he was tight end 17, Jason, in a points per game basis in the second half. So he was a tight end 2 in the second half of the year. Not as good as people think. And Dawson Knox came back. Dawson Knox is on a contract year, but he hasn't really out. It's complicated. So yeah, Dalton Kincaid is kind of a weird player to assess right now.
That's really well said. I want to hear your opinion about about a question at the end when I'm done doing this. ADP was 108. He scored 150 points a game, averaged 9 points a game. He only missed 1 game this season. A player we know might take some time to be relevant. He's a good tight end, but he's on a team with an established tight end already with Dawson Knox. And when Dawson Knox got hurt, Kincaid exploded. 5 straight games over 10 points, with 4 of them over 15 points. During his tenure as a Bills tight end 1, only 1 game under his projected points. But when Knox came back, he kind of slowed down a little until like week 17. Even with Knox on the field, Kincaid scored 12 points. And then in week 18, he scored 15 points. So my 2024 outlook on this guy is like he could be a great sleeper depending on Dawson Knox's status. I just want to get your input on that.
And my input was, I'm so sorry, dude. I had to pee. It was raining so hard. But my input on what was it real fast? The bullet points.
That he could just be a great sleeper depending on Dawson Knox's status.
I would love to draft Kincaid and somebody else. Like, because Kincaid is, if it's just him, he's literally a top 5 tight end. If it's not, then he's fucked. So I think you're totally right about that. All right, Jason, next up is the last quarterback I think we're going to talk about. Quarterback 46 taken in the draft. So, you know, Tannehill was the starter here, so that's why he is quarterback 46 taken in ADP. He had a couple good games, and I didn't realize this until I researched him, Jason. I think you gave me shit for wanting to talk about him or something like that. But I was like, I was like, oh no, I was thinking Levis did pretty good, but Jason, he was fucking terrible, man. Quarterback 38 in points per game over the last half of the season.
Yeah. His ADPs in fantasy football is undrafted. He played in 9 games and he averaged 11 points per game. Look, you know, it did not start good with Levis being left in the waiting room of the NFL draft. That's where it all started. But things changed in his first game, scoring 26 points against the Atlanta Falcons. But that was it. The next the next 8 games, he scored 16 points or fewer, 6 games under his projected points, and half of his touchdowns came from that very first game where he scored 26 points. He did show some signs that he can ball out. He did throw the ball for 327 yards against the Dolphins. But now, with Mike Vrabel gone, questions with the future of Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins is no longer a spring chicken. Managers. Oh, what I put here? Oh, my outlook for 2024 is that he's probably going to be more of a plug-and-play season for fantasy managers.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in a 2-quarterback league, I think he's probably worth your second quarterback at some point late. But that's about it, dude. I mean, what do I have him ranked in quarterbacks? I don't even have him ranked. So there you go, dude. Because I only rank the top 20 quarterbacks going in next season. But yeah, so I'm saying, I think that I think he'll probably be around the 25-ish. So worth drafting in 2-quarterback leagues. Jason. Here we go, man. This is your man. This is what crafted your short. This is how you do your shorts now because of this player.
Yeah, true. Sam LaPorta.
He was tight end 13 drafted. And I will say this. You could go back on video. I was like, I would draft Juwan Johnson to Sam LaPorta if I could do it. But then fucking Travis Kelce fell to me and I was like, oh, well, fuck. Yeah. So LaPorta, Jason, ended up being a league winner. He was tight end 3 on the second half of the season. He dominated, led the league in touchdowns as tight ends and all that shit. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I really don't want to beat a dead horse with a stick. His ADP is 113. He scored 239 points as a rookie tight end. Yeah. He averaged 14 points a game. He played all 17 games. I think a perfect comparison with this, Tyler, is Gronkowski, his rookie year, he had 10 touchdowns. And Sam LaPorta still scored 100 more points than Gronkowski's rookie year. Rookie tight end to lead all tight ends in touchdowns with 10. In the first round of the fantasy playoffs, he scored 28 points and 15 points in the championship. 7 weeks where he didn't score his projected points, but how many tight ends score over 20 points multiple times in the season? With one game under 5 points, that's still kind of great for tight ends. Rookie tight ends are not supposed to play like this. My 2024 outlook is now we just wait and see what happens with the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson.
I'm having a hard time, Jason.
Did I say it right or did I say it wrong?
I'm crying, man. I'm crying a little bit. I'm beating I don't want to beat
beating a horse.
I don't want to beat a horse with a dead stick. I don't want to beat a dead horse with a stick. What do you want to be? I am crying, man. I don't know why I think that's so funny.
Woo!
I mean, it's
that's
what
good.
do you want to beat him
good
with,
stuff.
man? A fucking baseball bat. I don't want to beat him dead with a stick. Oh my god! All right, Jason. Fuck. All right, here we go. Next up, Michael Mayer. Michael. I'm crying talking about goddamn Halloween stuff. Michael Mayer. Yeah, baby.
Oh my gosh.
I drafted his tight end 28, Jason.
Yeah.
So nobody thought he was going to do well anyways. Well, he ended up being a tight end 3, a flex-ish. He ended up as tight end 27, so he aligned with everybody. Yeah, he needs some kind of coordinator that really wants to use him. I bet you by year 3 he will emerge as a top tight end because he was badass coming out of the season. Or coming out of the draft.
Yeah. His ADP was 238. He scored 71 points this season. He averaged 5 points a game, and he missed 4 games. Mayer went to a team where he saw 3 quarterbacks and 2 coaches, and now the previous agreed head coach for the Raiders, Antonio Pierce, likes to run the ball, and quarterback O'Connell only throws it to Devontae Adams. Mayer only had 27 catches and 2 touchdowns this year. Pretty much 90% of his games were below his projected points for the season. My 2024 outlook is I'm staying away until I see something different.
And then here we go, Jason. Jonthan Mingo. If you know what I'm talking about, Jason, he got like 8 targets a game, man. Like when he was healthy for like the first half of the season. But yeah, dude. What was he? He was the first like true crazy bust of the wide receivers. At wide receiver 84, he was non-usable. But you saw Bryce Young, man, was like getting 7 points a game. So nobody was usable on that team. I will be very interested in Mingo if somebody comes in, but at the same time, that coaching staff drafted Mingo. Next season, I wouldn't even draft him. I think he's just going to be a waiver wire checkout on the first season. You know, keep an eye out in the first game of the season type of hit.
Yeah. So his ADP was 217, and he scored 84 points this year, 5 points a game. Missed 2 games. I saw Mingo as a possible good option for rookie Bryce Young, but then Thielen really stole the show in the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season. Weeks 10 through 14, his targets increased, but only scored over 10 points once in week 13 against the Buccaneers. You know, they have a horrible secondary. But he finished the season with 12 games under projected points. Definitely a bust. 2024 outlook, you know, there's a lot to fix in Carolina. Maybe, I think kind of just what you said, Tyler, like he probably more of a waiver pickup. You just pick him up for cheap and put on your bench until you see something happens.
Next up, Jason. He played at my Oregon State. I was not there. Jason, when I was at Oregon State, guess who I got to watch tear apart my team, man? My team, I watched behind the field goal post. It was like Madden. And I was like, this guy's pretty good. Luck. We're talking about Luck. Andrew Luck.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? It was cool. I was like the only person like clapping when he did well. I was like, yeah. All right.
I'm drafting him next year.
I was all about like fantasy football and shit. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Here we go. Musgrave, though. Luke Musgrave went to Oregon State. I think that, so he was drafted, Jason, in the 2nd round, and same thing as Tyler, that Kraft guy, but Musgrave is the pass catcher there. I know Kraft took over when Musgrave was injured. I am pretty interested in Musgrave. He ended up being a tight end 2. He was, you know, a top 14 tight end in points per game in the second half of the season. I would be interested maybe in Musgrave super late next season.
Yeah, his ADP was 202. He only scored 75 points this year, and he averaged 6 points a game, but he also missed 6 games. Luke missed his projected points 7 times this year, and then fellow rookie tight end Kraft, like you said, took over when Musgrave got injured. And Kraft was playing when the Packers kind of went on a roll with Jordan Love. Hard to say if Musgrave was playing, if he would have had the same success as Kraft did during this hot streak the Packers went on. 2024 outlook, I'm not sure who I want to target really between Kraft or Musgrave, but I think you're kind of telling me still go with Musgrave for next year.
He is the superior, Jason. He's a superior talent. He was taking like he was taking like 10 picks before him. He's a superior talent. All right. Jason, talking about superior, man. By Lake Superior, if you know what I'm fucking talking about. Green Bay. Dude. Jayden Reed, Jason. Wide receiver 77. I was like, I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. I know people were talking about him. I was like, yeah, whatever. He was taking this wide receiver 77, Jason. But he was a 2nd round draft pick. He ended up as being a high-end wide receiver 2 in the second half of the season. That is huge. That is huge, having that type of production out of somebody that, you know, top 77. How do you feel about Jayden Reed?
Yeah, his ADP was 233, and he scored 217 points. He averaged 13 points a game, and he only missed 1 game. He was one of my very last draft picks in 2023, and I watched week 1, and he scored 6 points, so I dropped his ass. And then week 2, he scored 19 points, but I chalked that up as just luck. Beginner's luck, rookie luck. Packers started 2-5. I believe they started 2-5. I really didn't want anything to do with the Packers at that time. But things started to click, and since week 10, Reed scored over 15 points 7 times. And he finished the year with only 4 games under projected points. That is amazing, especially for a rookie. Reed had a boom year and won people championships. He had a 3.4 average yards of separation, which is amazing for rookies, especially for a rookie. Yeah, and was involved in the rushing game with 2 rushing touchdowns. Deebo Samuel, maybe? I don't know. 2024 outlook. This is the Packers wide receiver 2 target for next year and should be even more involved in the Packers rushing attack in 2024.
Jason, good job, man. Because I think that Reed is a highly targeted. I would like to see what Love is so much better than what people thought. It's all has to do with under appreciation, under predicting stuff. If you can find that next year in other players, man, try to do that again. But yeah, I think that Reed will be a great pickup next season. So, all right, Jason. Next up, dude, Charbonnet, man. I was a Kenneth Walker owner, and I was like, holy fuck, man, this guy's efficient. And then he got his chance. He did pretty well. Got injured, then succeeded the job to Walker again. So wide receiver, or he was running back 50 over the second half of the season. He needs to be the starting running back to matter. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and this one's going to be kind of long because I put him down as one of the busts of this year, and I'll tell you why. His ADP was 119. He scored 106 points. He averaged 6 points a game. He only missed 1 game. Let me take you back to second day of the draft, of the NFL draft. I was completely shocked when I saw the Seahawks draft Charbonnet. We didn't want him to get in the way of Kenneth Walker's second year. So it's like when we saw it, we were actually recording at the time, and I yelled because I was scared. I was scared for Kenneth Walker dreamers and believers. But other than a few weeks, he was mainly the backup to Walker. Like his rushing yards over expected per attempt was .18 on the year, which isn't bad, but only had 3 games with over 15 carries in week 11, 12, and 13. In those weeks, he only missed his projected points once, but had a boom week against in week 13 against the Cowboys in Dallas. I said to sit him that game. He goes off and has a boom week. The word in the offseason was Charbonnet could be 1,000-yard rusher, but Charbonnet ended the season with 108 rushing attempts, and Walker had 219. I believe he is a 2023 bust. Yes, he was picked after the 10th round, but I believe most of the fantasy football community thought he would be a steal because of the draft capital and how Seattle expressed the way they planned on using him this year. So my 2023 outlook, he's like, I'm straight up just downgrade this guy to a handcuff player only.
Yeah, Jason, I agree, dude. It's like him and like Mingo and maybe like Quentin Johnston are the only people we've talked about that have been pretty big busts if you look at their ADP versus their points per game basis on the second half of the season. So I would agree with that. And we learned that. We got reminded, I was happy, Jason. I think I remember saying this. I was happy when he got drafted because I was like, oh man, I want Kenneth Walker. And now Kenneth Walker's going to go later. I drafted Kenneth Walker. He did great and then ended up taking a shit, the second half of the season, but whatever. All right, Jason, this is a big one for you. I know this. Rashee Rice, man. He was a hype train type of dude. I did like him more than Sky Moore. You picked him up off of waivers.
Yeah.
So you got Kyron Williams, you got Rashee Rice. You were killing it on waivers this year. You were the waiver king this year, I think.
The crown has been passed. It only took 15 years. Well, okay, so I kind of have a lot to say about this guy because I had him for most of the year. But before all that, let's get into our DeLorean and let's just go back to a couple months ago to the offseason to where I had a barbecue question of the week, and the question was for Tyler. And I asked Tyler, who would you rather have on your team, Rashee Rice or Kadarius Toney? And I'll tell you, Tyler praised Rashee Rice. So everyone who drafted Toney instead, come to the Fantasy Red Zone for your future advice in this offseason. First game of Rice's career, he had a touchdown, but I felt like it was like still Kelsey's team at that time. But then the target started to increase and the reception started to increase. Week 12 through 17, he didn't score less than 10 points and multiple games over 17 points during that span. And at that time, Kelsey was doing less and less and less. Let me give you some stats here, Tyler. 4.2 average yards of separation and average 5 yards of targeted air yards and 8.4 yards after catch. This is This is a typically run 5 yards. You run 5 yards. You sit in an open spot. You turn around, catch the ball, and you run for 8 yards, like you're playing the zone or whatnot. For years, that was Kelsey. This year, it's Rashee Rice. So my 2024 outlook, because his ceiling is a little lower than other wide receivers, I see like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick with a great chance of overperforming.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if he goes in that 3rd or 4th round, holy shit, I would be all about it. Because if you're in a half-point PPR, I'm all about that hero running back strategy. I'm changing my draft strategy, Jason. I want that hero running back. Give me one awesome running back in the 1st round, maybe 2nd, and then go from there, dude. I'll fucking get my wide receivers as I go.
Yeah, I think hero's the way to go.
Dude, I mean, as much as I hit on 3 awesome running backs, but at the same time, if I would have just had, it's like they weren't awesome all year long. So I need somebody I need like a top 5 running back all year long. All right, Jason. So that was Rashee Rice. Where do I have him rated in next season? Let me look at it real fast. Rashee Rice. Ayuk. Oh, running. I have him ranked as wide receiver number 18 behind Ayuk, Jason. Would you have Ayuk or Rice?
I think Rice could be the more consistent player. Well, Ayuk did pretty well this year. I think he was.
Dude, when I was going through Ayuk, it was so hard for me not to put him over. I was like, dude, I got to put Ayuk ahead of him, man. I don't know how I fucking don't.
Yeah, I think Ayuk did pretty well, but it was just it was a shadow to what Deebo Samuel did in the second half of the season.
Exactly, dude. That's what people forget about. All right, man. Marvin Mims, Jason. We thought that he was going to be a huge deal, like maybe in the first quarter of the season. I mean, I thought he was. He was on my waiver wire show 3 times. I picked him up on my own team. And because he was getting 70-yard touchdowns, man, for 2 games in a row. I was like, holy shit, man. He had the highest average yards, depth per yards per catch or whatever in college. So he was the deep ball specialist in college. With Sean Payton, I thought he was going to do great. But yeah, man, Marvin Mims, he ended up being a wide receiver 116, Jason, over the second half of the year. So next season, I'm not going to give a fuck about him probably either.
Yeah, he was kind of a waste, even a waste of a bench spot. His ADP was 266. He only scored 70 points. He averaged 4 points a game, and he missed 1 game. When he was drafted, it was, so Russell Wilson has one of the best deep balls in the NFL, has or had, whatever. Broncos drafting Mims seemed logical. That seemed to fit. Week 2, Mims had 20 points. Week 3, Mims had 10 points. But Tyler, that was it. No game over 3 receptions and no more than 5 targets a game. He's the only player I know to have not 1, not 2, but 3 games with negative points. So he was actually taking points away from your team. 11 points, or 11 times he did not reach it. Yeah, for real. 11 times he did not reach his projected points. 2024 outlook, look past this player until there's a change in the Broncos offense.
All right, man, that was great, Jason. And here we go, man. Here's our first big, I'm going to this is the Tony Pollard the next year. He killed it, and then he broke his leg. And now who knows what's going to happen. But he's got CJ Stroud throwing him the ball, Jason. He was drafted as wide receiver 63, so nobody thought anything of him. He was wide receiver 6. He was a top-end wide receiver 1, dude, in the second half of the season before we got injured. So Tank Dell, Jason, let me know what you think about him. You're killing it with all this information.
Nice. His ADP was 184, scored 165 points, averaging 15 points a game, and he missed 6 games, broken leg. He broke his leg. This player named Tank was one of the biggest boom players this season. I did not think much about him entering this season, but CJ Stroud thought about him, maybe even dripped about him, because he used him on the playing field and it benefited both of them. 45 points between week 2 and week 3 to start off the season, not including the game he got injured, but only 4 times he didn't reach his projected points. That's awesome. That's what you want. 4 games over 20 points. That's awesome. That's what you want. He had games with 10 targets, 11 targets, 14 targets. I can't even breathe here. I need some oxygen.
That's how I do it.
4 games before his injury. 4 games before his injury, all over 17 points. Each game, the 4 games before his injury, he had over 17 points. This guy was taking fantasy managers to the playoffs and beyond. 2024 outlook. Keep a tab on his injury, but aim for tank. Get yourself a Dell, dude. He can be a part of the best stack in 2024.
Yeah, I've got Tank Dell ranked outside my top 20 next season, but I've got Nico Collins ranked like fucking what, like top 6? And that could flip. Like if Tank Dell looks good in the preseason, I will flip that shit because I like Tank Dell more than Nico. But with him breaking his leg, Jason, after Tony Pollard and all that, I'm like, remember last season? I was like, dude, why don't people talk about Tony Pollard breaking his leg? I don't understand this. I do not understand. So I'm going to keep on bringing this up that Tank Dell broke his fucking leg. Okay. Next up, Jason, Kendre Miller.
Well, the good thing is, the good thing is Tony Pollard broke his leg last January, and I think Tank Dell did it in October, so he's going to have a few extra months of recovery. I get what you mean. I get what you mean, though.
Like, dude, it's a leg. Like, it seems like such a big deal.
Yeah.
So Kendre Miller, though, Jason, and I do want to say that Tank Dell was the kicked off round number 3, in the NFL draft. So he was a 3rd round pick. So now, he was a 3rd round pick. So now we're going to keep on going with 3rd round picks. Kendre Miller, running back, 57, drafted as, finished at 69. Nothing to really talk about here, Jason. He was a backup all season.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty quick. His ADP was 219. He only scored 43 points, averaged 5 points a game. He didn't play for 9 games. Miller had plenty of issues getting on the field, started the season injured. Then Kamara was back from his suspension. I believe after that, he was 3rd on the depth chart behind Jay Willie and Kamara. Then when given opportunities, he didn't play well. He earned lower than 4 yards per carry in 7 games, though his best game came in Week 18 with Kamara out. Miller had a 3-yard rushing touchdown that game. 2024 outlook, he needs Jameson Williams to be gone to have an impact on this team.
Yeah, Kendre Miller is still going to be probably not drafted next season. All right, Jason.
Yeah.
Josh Downs, man. I love Josh Downs. I will draft him next season. I don't give a fuck, man. I do have Michael Pittman Jr. ranked like top 10-ish. I can't remember. Let me look. I've got Michael Pittman ranked. Oh, dude, top 15. So I still believe in Josh Downs. He killed it for a little bit, Jason, but dude, wide receiver 88, he was drafted as. Wide receiver 71, he finishes the season as in the second half. So not good for Josh Downs.
Yeah, his ADP was 232. He scored 157 points, averaged 9 points a game, and he played all 17 games. Shane Steichen, he got his quarterback, and he got his wide receiver in that draft. And Downs had a hot streak when Gardner Minshew took over. He had more than 13 points in Week 5 through Week 8 with a 20-point game in between. But then he suffered an injury, and I believe he kind of struggled with that injury for most of the season. 2024 outlook, with Richardson coming back, I do expect Downs to have a giant second-year leap.
Dude, I think that you can get him so late, man. Like, you're going to be able to get him so late, and
yeah,
his ceiling is going to be relative to the people that he has drafted around, Jason. It's going to be fucking, like, give me that late wide receiver with that crazy ceiling. All right, Jason, this one is for me. I was the Tyjae Spears owner this year, and man, when I watch that guy, he looks amazing, man. Tyjae Spears looks amazing.
Yeah.
He was drafted as running back 55. That's because he was the backup. He finished the year as running back 34 in the second half, but he was like a top 20, 25-ish running back in the first half of the season, Jason. He was out snapping Henry. But yeah, next season, I know you'll talk about it. It is his backfield.
Yeah. So his ADP was 164. He scored 153 points, averaged 9 points a game as a backup, and he played all 17 games. A rookie sharing the backfield with Derrick Henry. Spears was drafted as a handcuff with Derrick Henry, with some chances of getting more carries than expected. His rushing yards over expected on per attempt is a minus 0.15, and that's not great, but the offensive line was ranked 32nd by PFF entering this season. Granted, Derrick Henry had good games with that offensive line, but that normally came with him getting 15 carries. And Spears had 52 receptions on 70 targets, so he's definitely a pass-catching running back, too. Spears had 5 games over 15 points and 21 points in Week 18. 2024 outlook is if Derrick Henry is out, then expect a huge jump, jump it up with Tyjae Spears.
Top 10 running back, without him. So, and then Jason, speaking of top 10 running backs,
absolutely.
Devon Achane, what's up?
No, say absolutely. Okay. You're right, top 10.
Devon Achane, Jason, he was your dude this year. Running back 45. I had him on my waiver wire winners or whatever. I had him as my sleeper list, all that shit. But you drafted him ahead of me. God damn it. And he ended up winning you some games, but running back, he was just a running back 2 or flex option actually in the second half of the season.
Yeah. His ADP was 96. Overall, he scored 190 points, averaged 17 points a game, missed 6 games, but Tyler, 26% of his total points came from one game. But he is probably the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today.
Oh it's like WWE shit right there.
With 6 games under projected points, but his boom was nuclear. His boom was nuclear. He like 50 points in
you sound
week
like
2
you're
or 3
on mute now, dude. Oh my god.
Am I? Oh man, did I press the button?
No, you didn't. No, you're fine. But it's so soft. You fucking yelled into that thing.
Yeah. Well, let's get ready to roll. Okay. Achane averaged 7.8 yards per carry, Tyler, and had a rushing yards over expected per attempt of 2.87. That is first in the league with over 100 attempts. McCaffrey was second with 1.32 rushing yards over expected per attempt. That is how crazy this player is. Achane's biggest obstacle are his injuries, and Raheem Mostert, who had an amazing season. 2024 outlook. I'll probably get him earlier. I'll probably get him before the running back dead zone. I am afraid of Mostert. I'm afraid of that guy.
Yeah, Mostert's going to hang around another year, I bet, man, especially after this year. All right, yeah. Jason, next up, I had this guy as a huge hit, and he ended up being one of the biggest busts, along with what, man? Like Jalen Hyatt. I had Jalen Hyatt and Tank Bigsby as huge hits, man, and I fucked up on both of them. They ended up being one of the biggest, them and Mims. At least I didn't have Mims. But yeah, Tank Bigsby, drafted as running back 48. He ended up as running back 95, Jason, in the second half of the season. Huge disappointment. I thought he was going to be the goal line back.
Exactly. His ADP was 182. He scored 22 points this year, 1 point a game. He averaged 1 point a game, and he missed 2 games. He is a bust this year because of the expectation that Doug Peterson wanted all the running backs that he could get so he could take the load off of Travis Etienne. Help carry the load. That was false. That was not true. No game over 10 carries and no game over 4 points. 2024 outlook, he's only a handcuff. He's only a handcuff player.
All right, Jason, another one of my babies, man, Michael Wilson. Coming up, him and Puka Nacua were the 2 people that were touted by TJ Houshmandzadeh. And listen to that fool because he knows what he's talking about. Wide receiver 90 he was drafted as. He ended up being as wide receiver 80 in the second half of the season, but he was injured all year. He was healthy. He had one great game, man. I want to see what he does when he is healthy with a healthy Kyler Murray.
Yeah, his ADP was 302, and he scored 114 points this season. He averaged 8 points a game. He missed 4 games this season. The Cardinals drafted an injury-prone wide receiver and sent fantasy managers for a ride. He started off slow, then back-to-back good games of week 3 and 4, but then under 10 points for 5 straight weeks with 2 goose eggs in week 15 and week 16, but then back-to-back 15 points in week 15 and week 18. It's like, oh my God, I hate you, I love you. I hate you, I love you. You're tearing me apart. I do now Wait, what am I saying here? Okay, Marquise Brown, he did take a lot of the targets, but then he got hurt and hit IR. So in 2024, keep an eye on Marquise Brown. He's kind of doing funky stuff right now. Like he mentioned how he traded himself in his own fantasy league. Like he's like, oh, I'm not going to be beneficial in this offense. So that kind of, I'm like, okay.
Why would you accept that trade, man?
Out of Arizona.
Why would you accept that trade?
I know. From the own guy, he's like, hey, I'll give you me. I'll give you me.
So the one dude that has the power to fuck you, like to change the score, you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll give you myself. That's a hell of a deal.
But yeah, Jason, I'm with you there. All right. Next up, we're going to round 5. Jason, Puka Nacua, we talked about him earlier, drafted as wide receiver 85. So he was drafted ahead of Wilson. He was drafted ahead of Downs. So there was some people that were on to him early. I heard, I was kind of like, I heard about him, but I wasn't like all about him. After that first game, I watched that first game and I was all about him because I had to watch that because I'm in Northern California. So Jason, what about Puka Nacua? Was wide receiver 13 in the second half of the year. So borderline wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Everybody knows about this cat. His ADP was 148, scored 298 points. He averaged 17 points a game. He played all 17 games, even though one game I did text Tyler and I said, Puka's out for the season. No, I was wrong. He came out of the locker room. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Sometimes, I see Sean McVay, like he looks like a genius. Puka is one of the fantasy MVPs of the season, setting records with receptions and yards for a rookie. 6 games, he didn't reach projected points. 7 games that are considered boom games, and that is 5 20-point games and 2 30-point games from a rookie on the Rams offense. We witness a player who reminds me of Cooper Kupp, and they play on the same team. 2024 outlook, if Stafford is there, you need to draft this guy early. He will produce another great season in 2020.
I have him ranked, Jason, as wide receiver 7 going into next season. Behind Collins, I know that you have him ahead of Collins. I have him ahead of A.J. Brown. I have him ahead of Keenan Allen, ahead of Garrett Wilson. So, especially with that last playoff game, I don't know where you put him, man. I don't know how you put him super late, at least. And then last up, Jason, we're going to talk about Keaton Mitchell, undrafted by everybody, undrafted by the NFL, undrafted by fantasy managers, was a flex option at the end of the season, and he could be a big time thing next year, a big time sleeper again, because people are going to forget about him. Fucking dude, he was like insane he was like Devon Achane, but smaller. Achane. If he stays healthy, he could be huge for you next year.
Yeah. His ADP is undrafted. He scored 69 points, averaged 10 points a game. He played in 7 games towards ACL. The player we waited for the most all season. Then in week 9, 20 points. And in week 10, 13 points against one of the best defenses in the league, the Cleveland Browns. He kind of cooled down a little bit, but still had over 10 points in week 12 and 15 before tearing his ACL. We got a little glimpse of what Mitchell can do behind that Ravens offensive line. 2024 outlook. Here we go. The Ravens. They got Dobbins. They got Edwards. They got Justice Hill. One of them needs to leave Baltimore and draft Mitchell late, right? Because he will likely win you leagues. But I can't see him going high.
Nope.
Or low. High.
He's going to be in that running back dead zone maybe, or later than that. And I might pick him up depending on where he goes. I don't know.
Well, tell me this, Tyler. Would you get him before Dobbins?
Fuck. J.K. Dobbins has been injured so many times, dude.
I know.
I don't know how I could do Dobbins again. I've owned him like 2 or 3 seasons, Jason. I think I've owned him like 2 or 3 seasons. I don't know if I could do it again. All right. But that's a good question.
We'll get Mitchell.
Yeah, I'll need a while. What'd you say?
I think you need to wait and get Mitchell.
Yeah. All right, everybody. that is the show. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know down below about rookies that we forgot, rookies that did well for you, rookies that did terrible for you, did shitty, and you just want to vent, man. We'll listen to you. We'll respond. So, hey, hopefully we earned a thumbs up. Hopefully we earned a subscription. If you are not already subscribed, we need your help. We want this show to be huge, and that starts with you right now, subscribing. We need your support. Jason, please send us out.
We got another video coming out Tuesday, and it's going to be about the second-year wide receivers. Did they pan out? Did they boom or bust for you? How are they going to do in year 3? We'll let you know. Make sure to watch. Yeah, with the offseason, we're only doing like 2 videos a week now, so I will talk to you in that video on Monday or Tuesday, whatever it is. Deuces.
This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, Jason, the new daddy, Youth and Walt, and we appreciate you.